In the morning when I rise, give me Jesus.
Good morning. Today we finished chapter 14 in Acts, and it has been an eventful chapter. Paul has started preaching to the Gentiles, and many of them believed. And the Jews didn't like it. They chased them out of town. So they went to some other towns, another town. Iconium they were chased out of, Antioch they were chased out of. Now that can be confusing because there are two Antiochs. One's kind of a home base. That's where folks were called Christians for the first time. But this other Antioch, the Jewish leaders rose up against Paul and Barnabas and chased them out of town. Well, it even got worse than that, we're going to see. As Paul and Barnabas went and preached, many people believed, and many people were healed. They went to one town called Lystra, and now a guy who had never, ever walked, Paul said, "You have the faith to be made well. Stand upright." And the guy jumped up and he began to walk. He'd never walked his whole life. Well, get this. The Jewish leaders from Iconium and Antioch, not the home base Antioch, the other Antioch, followed Paul and Barnabas to Lystra. And they stoned Paul, left him for dead. But I believe God raised him from the dead. But anyway, he gets up and he keeps preaching the gospel. And get this, he goes back to Iconium and Antioch because he wants to strengthen the believers that had been there. Paul wanted them to know, oh no, I'm very much alive and I am trusting the love of God, the power of God's love for me, and it's for you too, because it was poured out by his son Jesus on the cross. And so, as we now finish chapter 14, I'm going to start in verse 21. Here's what it says. After they had preached the gospel to that city and had made many disciples, they returned to Lystra and to Iconium and to Antioch, to the guys that had stoned them to death. They went back because they wanted to be strengthening the souls of the disciples, encouraging them to continue in the faith and saying, through many tribulations, we must enter the kingdom of God. There's going to be a lot of opposition to those who want to follow Jesus. But we need to be strong and bold. Let the love of God empower us to continue in the faith. Through many tribulations, we're going to enter the kingdom of God. Well, then they had appointed elders for them in every church. And having prayed and fasted, they commended them to the Lord in whom they believed. And they passed through Pisidia and they came to Pamphylia, and then they'd spoken in Perga and they went down to Achaia. From there, they sailed to Antioch. This is their home base, Antioch, from which they had been commended to the grace of God for the work that they had accomplished. And when they had arrived and gathered the church together at their home base, Antioch, they began to report all the things that God had done with them and how he had opened a door of faith even for the Gentiles. And they spent a long time with the disciples there in Antioch. Well, Paul is going to continue to preach to the Gentiles, but he'll preach to anybody that'll listen, just like you and me. Christ died for all of us. The love of God is for everyone. So God bless you who has received the love of God, been set free from all transgression against him in any way. Jesus is the Lamb that takes away all the sin of the whole world, and your sin and mine is gone, so we can walk in unity with God the Father. I look forward to being with you tomorrow. We'll start chapter 15 in Acts. Come be with us.
Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus.